Hi guys and welcome to my review of chapter 241, Do That Interview of HeroAca. I don't know why I didn't say that. This chapter was so good. We're finally back with our heroes. I was so excited. I saw some spoilers before reading the chapter, so I knew we were going back to the heroes, but I didn't know the contents of the chapter at all, and I was just so excited reading through it. I have a lot of notes, so this is probably going to be a really long video, but I'm going to try to contain my excitement and happiness just a little bit because I'm really, really excited to see our heroes again. I'm going to start talking about the cover page even though it's the second page of the chapter, just because that's a little, not part of the story. But I really love the cover page, the cover page, because we have Bakugo taking down the villain and then Deku putting back the hero, so we have My Hero Academia again instead of My Villain Academia, which is really, really, it was such a nice touch they're doing that. But what I really liked about the cover page too is that you have Bakugo and Deku doing something, helpful, like changing the arcs, and then Todoroki's just standing there doing nothing. He's just like standing there being his pretty boy self, and it's like, okay, Todoroki, you could have helped with something, I guess. I get why we have those three, especially because in the chapter those three have a focus, and besides of Deku and Bakugo, Todoroki is probably one of the most important characters. I don't know why I said probably, he is. I guess with All Might. But it's just so funny that he's doing absolutely nothing in this chapter, because it's like, and I want to like compare it to the fact that you have Deku and Bakugo who are in the secret of All for One and all those things, and then you have Todoroki who's like, he's there and he's like, he has a couple clues to this and that, but he's not putting anything together or doing anything helpful at all. The cover page itself just made me really happy. But enough about that. I thought that was so funny. The chapter starts off with Todoroki and Bakugo doing an interview, which is really exciting because obviously 30 minutes after getting their provisional licenses, they resolved a pretty huge incident with some muckers and stuff like that. But God, it was so good. I was so happy to see them. But I love, you have a journalist who looks like she looks a little nervous, and she asks them like, oh, after you've spent so much time together, doing like these, getting your provisional licenses, are you friends now? And I just love, not only do they have different answers, but Bakugo is fighting so hard against being Todoroki's friend. It's hilarious, because somewhere down the line they're gonna be friends, if not they're not already friends. Like, they've been through so many things together. I mean, at this point they're friends a little bit, just a little bit. But it was really, really good. I can't even get over how good the chapter was. And it's like nothing really happened. That's not true. A lot of things happened, but it's like, it was just like an introduction chapter and like setting up the next arc. But just so good to see everyone back again. But we skip ahead like a day or two. And we are in the final weeks of December. And the fact that we have a little box saying it's a couple of days before the end term, I'm wondering if we're gonna see at least the results of their interns, because we know, like, we had a whole arc for the first end-term exams they had, or at the very least the practical bit, but I'm wondering if we're gonna see a bit of it. We're gonna see like just a little bit. I want results, because I'm like, as far as the academic part goes, I'm wondering if like characters like Todoroki and Bakugo maybe fell behind a little bit because they had extra lessons, or the characters who've had their internships are falling behind a little bit. It'd be really interesting to see something like that, or just like what they would do for practical exam and how we could showcase how much they've improved, because we kind of had that with the joint training arc, but I don't know, I don't want necessarily a full arc around it, but a couple of chapters addressing it would be nice, since we've had, now, they just, like, specified it's close to the end term. But it could also be because we're getting into the Christmas holidays, and maybe something will happen there. Who knows? Going into the chapter, like, what is actually happening, I really love that we get to see the Baku Squad, so, like, Kaminari, Ashido, that group. Kirishima isn't there. I think he's too nice to make fun of people, but I really love that the Bakugo squad is making fun of Bakugo because he was so aggressive in the interview. He was basically cut out of it completely. I loved seeing these kinds of interactions because even though he's like really angry, he's still like socializing with people, and they're like all comfortable enough to like make fun of him in like a nice way. But I love the little touch too because the media could have kept in all the craziness of Bakugo, but they choose to cut it out to not tamper with his image, which I think is really great because it goes with the theme of the chapter 2 that the public wants to put more of their faith in the heroes, and we need like the heroes to really stand up and do their best. And there's that part too where it's like they talk about all these young heroes getting their provisional licenses and slowly becoming full-fledged pro heroes, and how they're gonna be the backbone of society basically. So it's really nice to see that the media is helping out with it. The media aren't the enemy right now. They're really doing their best to help with. I think that's a really nice small touch that just fits in with the theme of the chapter. We have a few panels of our heroes listening to and discussing the events of Daika, and obviously knowing what we know that, you know, things aren't as they seem, and they're basically just bring it all up, taking all the information at face value because they don't really have anything else to go on. And I actually love the little line that Ida had too, that like the incident itself was viewed as bigger than Camino, but because of the circumstances and the remote location, there weren't as many victims as Camino, because sometimes we probably forget that a lot of people died at Camino because there was so much destruction. People probably didn't get out of their house and apartments in time, and I mean it was just a big mess. Where am I? We talk a little bit about Endeavor and how he has helped change society in this way, and we have a little callback to the Can't You See kid, which I thought was really great because this child probably did more to shift society in this direction than he thinks, just because he was the one to point out that Endeavor is, you know, really doing his best out there. And support for Endeavor is obviously something that's gonna be needed since they don't have their symbol of peace anymore. And Endeavor really is never gonna be the symbol of peace. It is important, or not important. It is a fact that they're gonna have to change society and how they view heroes and how heroes are molded in society, just because things are gonna be different. But yeah, I love that every time Endeavor comes up, we inevitably have a panel of Todoroki just like brooding a little bit, because he is still in that state where it's like, I hate my dad, but I need to learn from Endeavor. Which is great that he can like separate those sides, because that's ultimately better for him. Because he has mentioned before, like, no matter how much his dad tries to make up for what he did, he's probably never gonna forgive him, which is fair on so many accounts. It's like, I wouldn't forgive him either. But it's would be good for them to like have a relationship where they can be in the same room without Todoroki suffering. Then we have Midnight and Mount Lady. I'm really excited about Mount Lady. I love Mount Lady. And she is there as a guest lecturer because we have these media exercises, which I thought was like really, really fun. I was like, where are we going with this? We have interviews and stuff like this, and then it's like media exercises. Okay, this is actually something that's really interesting, because it's not something I would have expected Hori to focus on, but it makes a lot of sense that's something you would do, because how you display yourself to the public is done through the media, and how well you handle journalists and questions and how you behave yourself. And I love Mount Lady talking about, well, these special moves that you have, they're important for just so many reasons, because they allow people to know who you are. It's easier for you to form temporary alliances with other heroes when they know what skill set you have. So I just really love this explanation, because it's like, there's a real in-world explanation for why you have to shout out your attack name. That's really nice. Because like in other series, they'll just do it because that's a shonen trope. But Hori is like, I have an explanation for this. So yeah, that's great. I find it interesting. As I was reading this chapter, I was like, is this the chapter where we're gonna get Bakugo's hero name? Because we have the interviews, they're all geared up in their hero outfits, and in the beginning, is it Mount Lady or is it Midnight? One of them, whoever is doing the interview, she does say like, oh, Shoto. She refers to Todoroki as Shoto, which is his temporary, I assume, hero name. Still guessing it's gonna be like Celsius or something temperature related that he's gonna make his hero name eventually, because I really highly doubt that he's gonna go by Shoto, because like with Ida, who went from going from Tenya to Ingenium, there's gonna be a story for Todoroki. Anyway, I would like to say Todoroki is the MVP of this chapter. I so enjoyed every single panel he was in. Every word coming out of his mouth was gold. His social awareness is at like 0. And he doesn't understand idioms or anything of the sort. And God, all his lines like, do you have a heart condition? My smile is gonna kill women. Everything is so good and it's so in character and it's so funny because he's so unintentionally funny, and I was dying reading this chapter. But it's just, it's really, really great, but it's also just like, it shows the kind of environment he grew up with, because he probably didn't have a lot of like social interactions with people outside of his family who would just have grown accustomed to the way that he is. So the fact that he's being befriended with so many things that he's not usually like interacting with, I think that's really great and will help him build his character further. So for now, it's really funny, and it would be really great for story implications to see him like slowly learn to interact with people like a little more normally. Because while now it's endearing, it's like his social skills are really low and he should work on that. Yeah, and we have again Todoroki talk about Endeavor and how his fire attacks are like basically copies of whatever his dad is doing, and that's why he doesn't want to call them his own ultimate moves yet, because he's just copying his dad and he's not quite at that level to make them his own yet. I think that's really interesting. Because the old Todoroki would never have taken something from Endeavor that he absolutely could not make his own, because it would be like becoming him, but he understands better now. Then we have everyone showing off like who they are and yada yada yada. And there is the highly discussed Kaminari doing the Meta Liberation Army thingy, which I 100% think is a red herring. It's directly after we have the villain arc, which means that we're all gonna notice it. There's no way no one is gonna notice that he's doing the very signature registro thing. And Kaminari is just like a bit of a dunce. I just highly doubt he's gonna be the traitor. And I don't know, I just think it's a little bit too on the nose to have this right after the villain chapter, when everyone is gonna be like, we remember this, we know what this is. So I don't think it has any significance whatsoever. If anything, it could just be like showing again that the society is moving, because the Kaminari would, like, if he's not, working with the Meta Liberation Army, no, that's not what they're called right now, but we're gonna, assume that he would not know about the new alliance that we have going on here. Alliance, group, whatever. It's just like, I don't know. I don't remember the point I was trying to make. Regardless, if he was working with the Meta Liberation Army before, that meant he could not be the traitor, because he was working directly under All for One and giving information directly to All for One. So, no correlation, I would say, there. If anything, if Kaminari is the traitor, this would not be one of the hints given to that. I don't think. But also, I just don't think he's the traitor, so whatever. When we get to Bakugo's interview, we basically have, like, he's still a little bit assertive, but at the very least, he gets the little, what's it called, advice to just solo interviews, because he doesn't mesh with other people. Which, again, it's like, his social awareness and social skills are kind of just as bad as Todoroki's, but just in a whole other way. I would say he's probably a little bit better than Todoroki, just cause, but like, yeah, he's a little, he tends to be a little assertive, and, he needs flaws. If he doesn't have flaws, he's perfect. Kid has too many talents. But yeah, Deku's is definitely one of my favorite interviews other than Todoroki's, just because I love the little like tidbits of him being super nervous during a fake interview, but as soon as he gets to fanboy, he's just like talking without breathing, and it's great because it really is just at the center of what he is. He's a fanboy, and that's never gonna change. It was a really, really great touch, and I love too that we're very public, open. A lot of people know, even Midnight, who wasn't, there at the joint training arc thingy. They all know about his black whips by now. And it's interesting to see that even though it's been, he said 2 weeks or so, he's made some progress. He can now actually unlock it at will and have somewhat a little bit of control in it, and he can adjust how much he's using of it. And even though it's very, very little, it's progress because he's learned from how he's controlling One for All that he can put out percentages of this quirk. I want to talk about the way that he visualizes how it's locked behind a door, because at first when I saw this, I was like, okay, a door, many locks. It could be like each lock represents the quirks that he has inside of him that he needs to unlock. But looking at the panels again, there are way more locks than we were told that Deku had quirks inside of him by Black Whip guy. So I'm already there, unless like more of them have multiple quirks. I don't think that's gonna be the case. Like, even if we assume that All Might had a quirk and he lied about that, and then multiple people, like every single person had a quirk, and maybe one or two people had multiple quirks, I feel like there were too many locks for that to still make up the numbers. And when he unlocks the power, he unlocks 3 or so locks. So I think it's just that he's visualizing this particular quirk behind this closed door, and the more he can control of it, the more locks he will then unlock, and then eventually he can unlock all of them and use it at 100% power. Is my theory now, because I saw some people being like, oh, I tried to count the locks and see if, because the theory is still that All Might was lying about not having a quirk, and this could be used as evidence to that, because there's definitely more than 6, I think would be correct, because it would be the second hole, the third, fourth, fifth, 6th, 7th. Yeah, so that's 6 quirks, right? And there were definitely more than 6 locks, but it wasn't that there were 7. It was definitely, I think I counted up to 8 or 9. But also the locks look very interesting. Some of them could like be one really big lock, and those that look really big could be 3 small locks. What do I know? Because we only got a close-up of some of them, not all of them, so Anyway, I'm going with my theory that it's one quirk locked behind the door, and the locks represent like how much he can utilize of it. What else? We went to All Might. Upon seeing All Might, I was like, is this a design change, or are you really just looking deader than usual? And then he is just looking deader than usual, because it is pointed out by Nezu. But he is researching the previous quirks that Deku would have inside of him, which is something I wouldn't assume that he would do. This is a good thing. This is All Might showing that he can be a good teacher, because I was fully convinced that he wasn't gonna engage with this, mainly because first of all, he wouldn't know anything about this because he didn't have this power that Deku has. He didn't unlock the powers that Deku is unlocking. And in 217, when they talked about him trying to control the Black Whips, All Might did say, like, for now we should just focus on you not unleashing them uncontrollably, where he kind of clashed with Bakugo, who said he should use them to the fullest because, power is power. So I'm really surprised that All Might is willing to, like, go forth with this. Yeah, I'm interested in seeing also, like, what has happened with Deku trying to train his quirk, because he has also gotten, like, new things for his gloves to where the Black Whips shoot out of. So there, at some point he must have learned how to unlock it, found out that he needed a new support item to help this quirk, and things would have happened. I'm interested in seeing if he did this on his own, with All Might and Bakugo, whatever, because we do have the panel where Bakugo is like, are you happy about this little amount, which is probably just like, it could go either way with you haven't really made any progress, so why are you happy? Because I've seen you haven't really made so much progress, or it could just be he hasn't been there for the training, which would also make a lot of sense because he's had his provisional license stuff going on. So, interested in seeing how the new things came about and how he's been training, because he could also have been training on his own. I feel like if he's just been visualizing locking and unlocking the quirk, and if it's that little that he can control, it would have been safe for him to just do it in his room. Yes, what else? Right. The very last thing we have is that we have Nezu very, not ominously, but like teasing the next arc, saying we're going to the next phase of the work studies. And then we have the panel of Todoroki, Deku, and Bakugo, which, good. Todoroki and Bakugo obviously can't have had work studies before because they didn't have their license, so they weren't allowed to do it. And Deku obviously isn't under Night Eye anymore because he very dead. So I am interested in seeing whether or not we're gonna see where they're going for the work studies. Are two or more of them going to the same place? I mean, I am fully on board for Deku and Bakugo going the same place because I want to see them work together more. But with the Todoroki and Bakugo thing about them being friends and having like spent so much time together, it would be interesting to see them doing it together too. For Todoroki and Deku, I'm not necessarily that I'm not interested in seeing those two specifically work together, but they've been together for so many arcs, like the Stain arc, the Camino arc. We've seen them work together and they work together just fine. So if they work together, I would love for them to, like, for all three of them to be in the same place, but I just feel like it's overkill to have Deku, Bakugo, and Todoroki all under the same hero, working for the same hero. But yeah, basically any Bakugo combination here works for me. But I'm interested because I highly doubt that the three of them aren't gonna get a work study. For Deku, a new work study, and for the other two, just a work study relatively soon, especially after we have they have their exams. And we could have Todoroki go into Endeavor because we have had him exchanging texts with his dad about, you know, trying to control more of his fire side and all those things. So he could just redo his internship and go to him. And with Bakugo, he can't, unfortunately, redo his internship because Best Genius is at very best missing, at the worst very dead. Which, you know, that would be a very, very unfortunate similarity between him and Deku. But you know, things happen. Regardless, there is no obvious person for Deku or Bakugo to go to, so it'd be really interesting if they just ended up in the same place. Because if they end up in the same place, it's probably going to be without discussion, because even though they are getting along better, I don't think they're quite at the point where they're going to be like, let's work together. At the very least, not Bakugo. I think Deku would be all for it, but I don't think Bakugo is quite there yet. But we are on this little role of Bakugo learning to work with people, and the little things we have had here where it's like, maybe you should do things by yourself. I think we're just pushing for that he needs to learn how to work with people. And of course for him, it's always the biggest struggle to work with Deku because they have such a chaotic relationship and just, yeah. And it's just a nice, like, storytelling tool to have them in the same place because they are our two main characters, so yes. I think I've talked about absolutely everything I want to talk about. It was a really good chapter. The fact that we're back with our heroes, great. I'm still scared what HeroAca may do, but I'm certain that at least for a couple of weeks, he's not gonna move because he's still injured. But we'll see what happens. I hope we get a little bit of a more a quiet arc, something that's not heartbreaking, because the Metal Liberation Army arc, whatever we're gonna call it, the My Villain Academia arc, it was tough. A lot of things happened. We had things happened, and it was dark. And I want to go into some more light-hearted things, like how after the Overhaul arc, we went into the school festival where we had a little bit of drama, but not so much that we were like really scared for what would happen for any of our main characters. So I want just a little bit, just a short little arc, and I hope we get a little more than just this chapter. Just yeah, I miss my voice a lot, so I'm gonna stop talking now. This is really long. Oh my god. Anyway, you can leave a like if you liked anything that I had to say. Leave in the comments below what you thought of this chapter. Are you happy to have our main characters back? And you can subscribe if you want to see more. Until next time, bye.